Eagles fly. Let's beat the squad. Big Pat shelling Dante the dark jive. Drop the stats on him. Drop the facts on him. Spur King, baby. Let's get it on.
Hey, fam, it's your man Dante the DarkKnight, and welcome to our weekly edition of Upon Further Review, where we recap the previous game from the Eagles, which was a win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday, 33-25, and which we recapped the game from Sunday. So I have a co-host that's going to be joining me, but I'm excited over the 4-0 start. Hold on, here he is. What's up? There he is. I'm still excited over the 4-0 start. I'm still optimistic. There are definitely things that we need to work on offense. That is quite evident after watching the tape. It is quite evident that we need to improve on the offense end of the ball. But I am still encouraged. And you know why, Pat? I'm not even going to tell you why yet. I'm not even going to tell you why. Let's start the quarter so we can start talking about what we witnessed on Sunday and how they are going to fix this. All right, so you are watching Eagles Talk, the most unique Eagles coverage show around that is by Eagles fans for Eagles fans. And here on Eagles Talk, we like to talk about our favorite football team. That is the Philadelphia Eagles. We do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. So I'm sipping on my Celsius energy drink. Pat is doing the Woodford Reserve. Let me know what you guys are doing. Yes, this is a continued celebration for our undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, and more recently, the win that they had over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday. So let's do this. Let's raise our glasses to our Philadelphia Eagles and down the hatch. 3, 2, 1.
You're now listening to the First Quarter.
You know why I'm happy, I'm encouraged, Pat, because of one person and one person only. The one person that's responsible for me having Super Bowl rings as a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. That is one Howie Roseman. I am encouraged because we have Howie. Why? Why am I encouraged that we have Howie and this mess is going on? Why? Why am I encouraged? Because this offense is not doing well. It shows flashes of being fluid or in the flow, like you like to say, and then they show stretches of it looking like they don't know what the hell they're doing out there, right? So and I'm going to move into territory. I guess I have to give credit for this phrase I'm about to use because I don't want any plagiarism or anything going on. So I'm about to exercise some reckless speculation. I got that from Hugh Douglas off of off of WIP. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Got this phrase from Hugh Douglas, but I'm about to go into some reckless speculation. And this is what leads me to be encouraged about Howie. All right, so what I see from the offense is not good. A lot of elementary type plays that are not hard to figure out, very predictable. The first half of Sunday was great because it was creative. It was mixing it up. You saw the creativeness in the first half, and that offense flowed. Second half, we went back to the elementary pass routes and no run game and the such. So I surmise that just as in 2023, when Brian Johnson was the coordinator, that we're having some of the same issues here. We need an outside offensive coordinator. We don't need a in-house coordinator where Nick Sirianni has a lot to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen what happened last year when they brought in an outside OC and basically told Nick, you're coaching. You're just head coaching. You're not in control of this offense anymore. I don't think that stands true when you promote one of his offensive coaches, he has a little more say. And every time I suspect that he has a little more say, this offense looks exactly how it looks now every time. Because this offense, when it's boring, looks like that offense in 2023. It looks like that offense when Nick Sirianni was the play caller. So I tie them together and I say that the reason why I have optimism is I think that Howie is just as smart as I am, and he sees that. And just as he jettisoned Brian Johnson out of there and brought in an OC, he's going to do the same if they don't turn it around. If this offense continues to look like this, even hot and then cold, Howie's not going to hesitate to get Patullo out of there and get a real OC in here. So I'm very optimistic about that alone. I hope they get it together, but I have all the utmost confidence that Howie's going to fix this one way or the other. He is not going to allow this offense to look like this all year. Multiple years in a row. He may give him a chance for this whole year, but you better believe if it's looking like this at the end of the year, like it's looking now, Howie's going to jettison him out of here. So
yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm not as fiery as I was on Sunday. After reviewing the tape, it did rise my suspicion about everything we were saying. There are some elementary aspects to this offense, and it reared its ugly head in the second half, especially when it comes to our pass routes. Forcing the ball to a covered A.J. Brown when you have a streaking Devontae Smith over the middle of the field. That's what I was trying to allude to when I was talking about the flow of the game. Passes to the A.J. will happen, but when you're in this type of offense, you got to hit the open man. If it wasn't truly for our defense, we would not be sitting here taking shots for a 4-0 squad. We'd be sitting here talking about a 3-1 squad and how poorly the offensive line and defensive line and all that has been. But hindsight is 50-50. We are 4-0. We did some great things in that first half. In that second half, I still, when I look back at the tape, Landon Dickerson, even Jordan Mailata, Cam Jurgens, they were not stout on offensive line. It was a play where it was like almost like a trap play, and Landon got beat, and Jordan Mailata it's something with those guys right now. That chemistry is not there. In normal plays that we were breaking last year for huge chunks of gains, the same type plays aren't working. It's not because the defense knows it's happening. It's because it's not being executed right now. So we put a lot of blame on our offensive coordinator. But we go back and look at the tape. Look at this offensive line. There were so many different instances where things would have worked if it was a half second earlier for offensive line to make that double reach. It was one play, Cam Jurgens is looking at Jalen Hurts like, what are you doing? So the gelling aspect of the offense is always last to get into a rhythm. And I know we said this in the first game, DarkKnight, reviewing these first 3 to 4 games like it's a preseason for them to get into that rhythm, and our defense is going to be way ahead of them, which they are. And it's only going to get better now because we got, one of the great captains coming back, Nakobe Dean. I'm so glad that he's coming back because I want to see how they employ these 3 dynamic linebackers together. But on the offensive side of the ball, it is a struggle. And I'm hoping this is working the kinks out. Or I totally believe what you just said. I believe in Howie Roseman, and I believe he will make the right move for our Philadelphia Eagles coming into the season.
Yeah, I saw some of the same things you're talking about on the tape. The and the offensive line is, let's just be real, they're not as dominant as they were last year.
Correct.
I'm not saying that they don't have the potential to be, but up until this point here, they're not playing with the same dominance that they had. And there's some reason for that. Lane Dickerson had a surgery during training camp in which he came back, record time. So I don't think that he's 100%, but he's a warrior, so he's out there. Lane Johnson hasn't finished the last 2 weeks. He hasn't finished the game in the last 2 weeks, so he's banged up. And then Tyler Steen went down also on Sunday. So our offensive line is a little banged up. And even at full strength, again, they're not dominating at the same level in which they did last year. Hopefully that is something that they can fix. I think that them being healthy is going to be the key part of that. And then once they manage to be healthy, they have to do a better job. We know that defenses are loading the box, but they loaded the box last year. I mean, they didn't sell out on the run like they're doing this year. But we've had games, Saquon saw a lot of 8-man fronts last year, and we were still able to run the ball. And that was because of the dominance of the offensive line. We're not seeing that right now. Not in the run game and not in the passing game either. So that definitely contributes to some of what ails the offense. But I lay the blame when I look at those pass routes and things like that. That's OC stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When your play and what baffles me is that he was the passing game coordinator.
Yeah.
If you were the passing game coordinator and you're having this trouble, what were you doing last year? Like, what were you doing that exposes you? Stuff like that exposes you. If you were the former passing game coordinator, these routes should not be looking like this. People shouldn't be in the same area. And and it's not only him, but I'm giving everybody has some blame to go around, all around.
Yeah,
quarterback on errant throws or in his head about trying to get AJ the ball. AJ not, it's not like he's without blame either. I saw one where the ball sailed over, but he took a second hitch, and that 1 second hesitation stopped him from continuing on, and he probably would have caught that ball had he not made that stutter step. So nobody's without blame. The offense is just not on the same page. Something I talked to or pointed to in the preseason or the first game of the week, I remember it vividly. First game of the week, I said, I am worried about this offense not having enough time together in training camp. Because they were all out. AJ was out for weeks. Devontae was out for weeks. That's where you get your rhythm. That's where you get in sync and get ready for the regular season. And a lot of these guys weren't on the field during the preseason and training camp. So you're seeing some of that. Some of that is that. Some of that is the offensive line, and some of that is the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, so that chemistry is not it's not paramount. It's they still have chemistry from last year, so they can make certain things happen. But you know what? Listen, they're doing more with less than any other team in the league, and I really appreciate that. With all the trouble, all the bad coordinator routes and all this other stuff that's going on, we're 4-0.
Yeah,
it would baffle me after the game to really sit back and say we're 4-0 because all the mistakes and over a longer period of time, these teams is going to they're going to figure us out, and just like the Bucs did in the second half, they didn't blitz as much. They went to more of a zone and said, Jalen, go ahead and beat us, because right now your play calling, your route running is trash. We having these players sit on all your routes. They're showing you a blitz, and they're coming out of that blitz into an inverted cover 2. Like that was all the second half. Second half was just adjustment made by Todd Bowles, who's a phenomenal coach. I gotta give it to Todd Bowles. He's a phenomenal coach. And he always has phenomenal players down there. And it could have been part of the heat too that got to some of the players. But that's never an excuse. Like Vic Fangio say, you can't make heat an excuse. This is an outside game. Everybody plays in the same heat.
Right. I agree. Whatever the case is, they got to get this offense together. Defense has really been bailing us out thus far, and thank God for Vic and that unit on that side of the ball, because without that, we definitely would not be sitting here at 4-0. I believe that we would not.
No.
So, but that's what makes it a team sport. You know what I mean? That's what makes it a total team effort. As I try to get my color together, but I'm fading. All right, so that's definitely a key to this winning. But that's what teams are made of. I mean, this is a football team. This is the ultimate team sport. So you count on other aspects when one thing is not firing. You have to have the other aspects of the game pick up. And the past couple of weeks, the defense and the special teams have been picking it up. And, with the occasional appearance of the offense the past 2 weeks, we saw them in the first half this past Sunday, and we saw them in the second half the Sunday before. So with that has proven to be enough up until this point. But we know it's a long season. We know this is a process, as you make the journey towards a Super Bowl championship. You know that it's a journey, and there's going to be adjustments and hopefully improvement that happens along the way. And we're just, some of us are skeptical on whether we're going to see that, whether we're going to see that improvement that we want to see on offense. But I still have confidence. I still hang my hat on the fact that it's early in the season. I still hang my hat on the fact that this offensive coordinator has to find his flow. It has to just to being in that play caller seat.
Yeah.
Although he might have been the passing game coordinator, it's totally different. It's totally different from, being the passing game coordinator to now you're running the whole offense. And you're not only running the offense, you're in charge of calling plays. That flow that you talk about, Pat, I heard somebody talk about it because I was like, what do you mean flow? I vaguely know what he meant flow, but like I heard someone talk about it on in the media this week, and it's just a rhythm where you're calling plays that may be setting up another play down the line. That's a flow, and that takes a high level of intelligence to be able to do that. Not calling Patullo stupid or anything like that, but if you've never sat in that seat, you don't have any hands-on experience until you do sit in that seat. So he's getting it now.
Yeah, it's difficult, like you just said, if you haven't sat in that seat before. Like a passing game coordinator, you don't call plays during the game. You assist putting together, the passing aspect during the week. You help input the plays for the offensive coordinator, and you go back and forth with the offensive coordinator of what should be ran during this game. During the game, it's all on the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, that flow, like you're setting this run up for a counter run, for a counter to that run, which is a play action deep pass. Right in the Super Bowl, it's a prime example when we threw the dagger. Right, we were setting up Saquon Barkley so much, even though the Chiefs were destroying Saquon. He wasn't getting off, couldn't do anything. Right. If you go back and look at that actual play, we ran the same formation in the first half, and we handed it off to Saquon. We set that play up in the first half, whereas though when we did the play action, their linebackers came up, all right, completely 2 feet up. Their safety froze.
Yeah.
Their safety froze. Their corner slow walked it. He thought it was a run play. Everybody thought it was a run play, including the commentators and the Chiefs. And next thing you know, it's a deep touchdown to Smitty. That's the flow. We don't have that right now. I do understand it's a long season. We're not even a quarter away there. Once we play the Broncos, we can say we're about a quarter there. But we got to be better in calling our plays to help matriculate us down the field by mirroring each calls to help our playmakers. We have playmakers on top of playmakers. And by the goodness and graces of our defense, and just by us being in the right position, the right time, and being 100% in the red zone, we are winning these games that we should not be winning.
Oh, don't say that. We should be winning. We should be winning.
We should be blowing be blowing them out, though.
All right, yeah, all right. That's the difference. But we should be winning. All right, we're going to end this quarter, and then next quarter we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, which everybody's been talking about all week. So let's end this quarter. You guys.
And that's the end of the quarter.
You guys are watching or listening to, if you're listening to the podcast, Eagles Talk, the most unique Eagles coverage show around. That's by us Eagles fans, for us Eagles fans. And here on Eagles Talk, we like to talk about our favorite football team, that is the Philadelphia Eagles. We do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. I'm doing the Celsius energy drink. Pat is doing the Lucky Woodford Reserve. This is the exact Woodford Reserve that he drank all last year when we won our Super Bowl. So we're back on that. And this Woodford Reserve is undefeated as long as the Eagles streak has been going. They have the same streak. The Woodford Reserve and the Eagles have the same undefeated streak going on here. All right.
That actually is true. The one game I didn't have it was the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, the one that they lost. So it mirrors what the Eagles are doing. Every game that Woodford Reserve has started and finished, it's undefeated in its last 19, 20 games. All right, so here we go. We're going to take this shot for our Philadelphia Eagles. 4-0, undefeated. Everyone, raise your glass and down the hatch. 3, 2, 1.
You're now listening to the second quarter.
All right, we are frustrated. All of us, every fan that I talk to is frustrated with this offense. I listen to the national media. I listen to sports talk radio. And wherever I hear from the fans, they are frustrated with this offense. Well, guess who is also frustrated with this offense? One of its stars, and that is one A.J. Brown, who's tweeted out a cryptic message on Sunday that alluded to that fact. Man. That he is frustrated. Now, I've been listening, and there's some that, understand his frustration. Now, I'm one of them. I do understand his frustration. The only problem, I don't have a problem with AJ wanting the ball or anything like that. You want your superstars to want the ball. And I know how diva-ish wide receivers can be, but I personally don't think this is a diva thing. Now, I don't totally agree with how he handled it. Like, you have to handle that in-house. Those are conversations that need to happen between you, your head coach, and the quarterback and the OC. You group of people need to get together and have some dialogue and talk about that. I don't agree with him taking it to social media, anything like that. I just think that was a bad move. But outside of that, I can understand his frustration. I would be frustrated also when you have a talent and a skill such as he does, and then you're not allowed to showcase that. It's not enough to just win. And I don't think it's being selfish either. Like, it's not enough. When you are that talented, it's not enough just to get the win. You want to contribute to that. And I don't think that his wanting to contribute is just about him. I think that he really believes if he is utilized the right way, or he is allowed to contribute in the manner that he can, it makes the game easier. Correct. It makes it it's an advantage to the Eagles. I think that he believes that. Like, we're winning. I think he's happy with winning, but like, I believe that he's like, yo, if I can get involved, we could be winning these games a lot easier.
Yeah. I totally believe that too. I believe get the ball into your playmaker's hand and let your playmakers make those plays. And the biggest playmaker you have is one in the backfield and one on wide receiver. I mean, AJ Brown is a difference maker. Saquon is a difference maker. But as somebody that's a wide receiver, you depend on the quarterback to get the ball to you. You depend on the offensive coordinator to make sure he develops those plays that now are that's not elementary that can get you open in these different schemes. It's crazy to think about this. And people say don't compare AJ Brown with Terrell Owens. I'm not comparing them, but the thing about it, if T.O. was in his offense, he'll be doing the same thing around this time with social media. Oh, he'll probably send that text out at halftime.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
why it's crazy to think that, a simple text can do all this. A simple tweet can do all this. I know he sent another tweet and he added my boy our boy Seth Joyner,
Oh
Eagle
yeah,
Crime.
yeah.
We're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But you know what? As an Eagles fan and as somebody that watches the game like a fan, I see that when the ball's in his hand, things happen. Right? The offense is moving. Smitty gets the ball in his hands. He's making big plays, but it's something different about having the ball in AJ Brown hand against these corners. And how the offense becomes way more productive when he's a super threat. That opens up everything else. That opens up Devontae. That opens up the Dallas Goedert. That opens up the Saquon Barkleys and even Jalen Hurts on the quarterback runs, because now you're dependent on putting two people all the time or more, directing your defense towards this star wide receiver. He is that difference maker that could be that needs to have attention on him every single game. You should not be what he knows he can't be covered one-on-one, but yet the routes that we have in this offense, especially the second half, were routes that he should not be running.
Yep. And that saw that. So elementary routes and route design, and what's he good at? AJ is not a speedster. Not saying he's slow. He's still got some speed, but he's not a Tariq Hill and the such. He doesn't get his yards like that. He mainly gets them on yards after the catch. So you got to scheme shorter routes. He's famous for the slants. The defense lays for the slants. So, let's get some slant and goes. You know what I'm saying? If they're overpaying the inside for the slant, let's do some slant and goes or something. But you got to get creative. And, it all boils down to you got to be more creative. We saw that creativity in the first half. We saw, shovel passes to Goddard up on the goal line. We saw,
RPO shovel
we saw packages for the blitz.
Yeah.
That were creative. You know what I mean? We saw that creative. We know that the potential is there. We just need to see it a full game. And I think that's a part of Tulo's growing. Need to see the package. Pause. We need to see, we're probably going to have to endure the maturation process that Kevin Patullo has to go through as a first-year OC. And he has, he probably has this whole year. I doubt if they fire him with, he's having some success or the team's having success. So I don't think he's going to get fired during the year. So he's going to get this full year, and hopefully we see him progress and mature in this role as OC, because he's what ails some of that problem too. You can scheme your star player. You got to be able to scheme your star player to get the ball. I mean, come on. What are we doing? What are we doing if we're not scheming to get the ball in our best players' hands? I mean,
that's crazy. That's crazy to say that.
Not just in their hands, because we saw Hurts force the ball to AJ. So I'm not talking about just call a play and just look for AJ. I'm talking about designing plays that's going to scheme AJ open.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. And before we go any farther, we gotta get the third co-host in here right now, because they don't see us in this family. They don't see us in the chat.
I know. I have talked a lot, so I was just about to lose that, because you got, the chat room be jumping. Yeah. And look, I've given them the spotlight and they've taken the spotlight. Now they just be like, oh, they don't see us. Oh, they don't see us now. They're going to be wanting a paycheck soon. The way they're talking to the chat. But anyway, without further ado, let me bring our third co-host into the conversation. That's you guys in the chat room. We love you guys. You guys are like family. And the first person in the room tonight was Jeremiah Andrews. There's starting to be a pattern to Jeremiah being the first one. I don't think anybody out here can beat Jeremiah into the look. I'm starting something, right? I don't think anybody out there is going to beat Jeremiah in the chat room every show. Nobody. He's got a streak on. I think his streak might be as long as the Eagles streak. I don't know. But anyway, second person in the room today is Ryan Swoop. Is that Swoop?
I think it's Swoop.
Swoop. All right. Hey, Ryan. Glad to have you back. I remember Brian. Ryan's a good follower, good commenter. Richard Boo Layton is in the house. Richard dropped the boo. What happened? That was what your wife made you put her nickname in your profile name. Well, he's dropped that. He's no longer Richard Boo. Only to his boo. And he says, "What's up, Eagles family?" And Bill Kroll is out there. He says, "What's up, everyone?" Ryan first long comment of the night. He says, "Both Super Bowls, Hurts showed great stats. When it's the big stage, he has performed. Why is it when the Birds are forced to pass, being down like last week, Hurts shows he can do so good? But it seems to only happen in forced situations. Why only in pressure situations does the greatness come out?" I would point to the fact that it's when you let him cook, when you let Jalen cook. You know what I mean? He does wonderful things, exciting things when you let him cook. Last year, he wasn't asked to cook, but only a few times. And in those times, he cooked. He was asked to cook in the NFC Championship game. He cooked. He was asked to cook in the Super Bowl. He cooked. But during the regular season, we rode the legs of Saquon Barkley. And I give Jalen a lot of credit, even in that situation, because a lot of quarterbacks too are kind of devious, and they want to throw the ball. Jalen proved he can throw the ball. Jalen proved he can operate an exciting offense as he did in 2022 when he was the runner-up MVP of the league. He showed he could do that. It's either even greater character when you can subdue your talents for the good of the team. When you know you can put up another performance like the near MVP season and go along with the game plan of featuring another person, all for the purpose of winning. And that's what he did. And that's one of the things that adores me to Jalen Hurts, because of that character and that leadership ability. All right, let me go down to some more current comments, because you guys are talking.
No, that is good right now.
Eddie. Eddie, my favorite Republican, says you are not even scheming how to use your powerhouse running back correctly. Right. If you look at the All-22, Tampa knew every time Jalen was under center, one, they were giving to Barkley, and two, exactly where he was running. That is true, Eddie. That is true. And I saw the previous week where somebody actually tallied up what plays they ran out of what formation, and it was very, very predictable every time, and it was close to what you're saying. The formations where Jalen was under center, I think he ran like 90-something% with runs out of that formation. Out of other formations, it was very predictable. Like, it wasn't like when he was under center, there was 50% was pass and 50% will run. When he was under center, there was 90% of those plays was run. And when he was in another formation, 90% of those were a pass. Yeah. So when you're that predictable,
97. He says 97.
97. I'm not saying when you're that predictable. Let me say this: you can't be that predictable in the NFL, in pro football. You can be that predictable in two-hand tag on the corner with your boys, but you cannot be that predictable in the NFL when you're playing against professionals.
Yeah,
you can't do that. That's what I'm talking about. It has to be more complicated than that.
Yeah, there was somebody that called Saquon before this game, because Saquon was actually he was doing telltale signs of what the play was going to be. Was one time where you could see that he was focused on it. He was focused head straight. If his head was straight, that means it was going to be a run. Other times, when he was moving his head left to right, looking for where he's going to pick up this block at, you knew it was a pass. Somebody called him on that, and they talked about it during this week, last week, And I believe somebody actually made a call to this Saquon and said you are tipping your hand on what kind of plays you're about to run. So I hope somebody has told the OC and Nick Sirianni and Jalen, like, listen, y'all tip your hands. We all just line up under center, and it's 97%. It's going to be a running play. Yes, we have to be more creative. We can't just be, you know, we can't be that predictable. You can't. 97%. That's crazy. That's crazy. Because listen, even on a high school level, right? They tell the running backs, don't look at the hole where you're going to go at, right? But some running backs always tip their hand of where they're going, and you can pick up on it through film study. That's high school. Now we talk about the pros. If you could do that in high school, just imagine that all the players knew, like he said, all the players knew this was happening. And
you might as well be Bill Belichick with the cameras and you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? People are running their defense like they got Bill Belichick on the staff. I'm saying they know all the plays beforehand. But before I go any further, Dion just comes at us all the time. But here's another one. Jeremiah, these two talking to each other like we not even in the room. Taking us for granted like the Eagles do A.J. Brown. Y'all going to miss us when we go in DarkKnight. I'm telling you, it's never a dull moment with this guy, man. It's never a dull moment. But Dion was a ball player, man. Dion is in Dion, ain't you in the Hall of Fame or something? He in the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, man.
That's what's up.
That's big
People
time.
leaving the chat now. Come back, family. They including us now. Laugh out loud. yeah. But that's cool because that's what I wanted when I came up with the idea of Eagles Talk, and that's why the tagline is what it is: Eagles Talk by Eagles fans for Eagles fans. Because I wanted to include you guys in the conversation. I would love if this was a call-in show. We tried that a couple times, but you guys don't call in. You rather talk in the chat. So that's cool too, because I'll just include that in the conversation. It may be somewhat confusing to those that listen on the podcast. Like, what the hell is he doing? It's not confusing to those that's watching, but on the podcast, they're probably wondering, what the hell is he doing? He keeps calling these names out. Well, what I'm doing, I'm reading the comments from our followers that are in the chat room because they are talking. They're talking a lot. Oh, let me read this one. This is by Christopher Burton. He says, I bet we could use plays from Madden 25 and have better success than what we are having now. I'm just saying. You're right. I've been, stopped playing Madden, but I talked to Madden heads and they would probably call a better game than Kevin Petula. I'm telling you. You know how in depth Madden is. You know how in depth their playbook is, and Maddenites don't even call the same run play out of a formation. That's the beauty of it. If it's working, it's working. But when I was playing, the favorite play I had out of formation, of course I'm going to run that. But I would make sure that I would have a couple other plays out of that same formation so I can keep them on their toes. You know what I'm saying? So that I could slip into my favorite play. So if I'm expecting, I hope that they do that this week with what Eddie just pointed out. If every time he's under center, they are expecting, if 97% of the time they're under center, it's a run play. This week will be a great opportunity to do some play action pass. You know what I mean? They've done their film study. They're looking at that under center, and they're probably thinking, all right, we got him. We're going to jump the gun. This will be a great week now to bring Jalen under center and give us some play action. Yeah. We should be successful in the play action under center this week because that's not what they're expecting.
And we're playing a much better, well, now I say much better defense because the Buccaneers is one of the better run defenses in the league and defenses, period. But the Denver Broncos ain't no slackers. They have a very good pass rush. Their pass rush right now, I think they have 15 sacks on the season with their defensive ends. They have a very good lockdown corner in Patrick Surtain the second. And you know what? We can't be predictable against this team. We cannot be predictable against the Broncos because they'll take advantage of us. But with that being said, I mean, their linebackers are not it. You know, there's some things we can get over with them, but we, like you said, we can't be predictable. You know, we cannot be 97% we're going to run the ball in this formation. Can't do that. And what happened to all the doggone traps? The center puller. Like, this is crazy. Like, right now, overall, like, these guys are ranked as the worst at their positions. Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens. Yes, they might still be injured and coming off these injuries, and you know, it was taking a toll on them. But still, you still got a job to do. If you can't do the job, move to the side. Let the backup come in.
Oh, that's maybe the problem. Like Stout is Stout's a warrior, and you know Stout's is a master offensive line teacher. So I'm thinking that if he is sticking with injured players and they're not performing up to their level, that's probably the best move. Because I would think that Stout is smart enough to say, all right, Land, you need to sit down and get yourself healthy, and we'll put you back in there. But we can't operate like this. But 80% Landon Dickerson might be better than 100% whoever his backup is. You know what I'm saying? So that might be why he's still playing. But at some point,
you might be right. You're right on that one.
You know what I mean? At some point in time they have to get healthy, and the encouraging part is that they're still winning while this is happening. I don't know how they get healthier without giving them rest, but hopefully they'll get healthier as the year goes on. I don't know how Lane Johnson gets healthier without some rest.
I really think we need to sit him one game. We played the Giants. The second time we played the Giants, we need to sit him. He does need to get healthy. He banged his neck. A neck injury doesn't just go away. You get a stinger, he's going to get a stinger again. That does not go away. Fred Johnson's playing well enough football as a backup role, so we can afford to have Lane Johnson not playing one full game. I mean, I know the stats say otherwise. You know, when Lane Johnson's not in there, we have a losing record. But I guess a team like the Giants, even though they got some inspiration with their newly found inspiration with their quarterback, I think we need to let him sit out one game against the second game against the Giants, so he can get a 3-week rest and get prepared for the Lions stretch. Because after we come back from the bye, we play the Packers, the Lions, the Dallas, the Bears. Oh my! So
bring them on, bring them all on.
We need them. Right. We need to be healthy during that stretch.
All right, I'm in this quarter,
and that's the end of the quarter.
All right, that's the end of the second quarter. You guys are listening to or watching Eagles Talk, the most unique Eagles coverage show around. That's by us Eagles fans, for us Eagles fans. And here on Eagles Talk, we like to talk about our favorite football team. That is the Philadelphia Eagles, the 4-0 Super Bowl defending Philadelphia Eagles. And we like to do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. Don't forget, if you're an adult, you're drinking a beverage, that's an adult beverage. It doesn't have to be alcoholic. I am drinking the Celsius Tropical Vibe energy drink, which means I'll be up till 2 a.m. Anyway, with Woodford Reserve, the same exact Woodford Reserve that he drank all of the entire last season, and it led us to a Super Bowl. So he has his lucky Woodford Reserve. You guys, let me know what you're drinking out there, and let's get this third quarter on the road. So down the hatch, 3, 2, 1.
You're now listening to the third quarter.
All right. Let me get this comment right here because this
I look like Don King. I look like Don King talking upside down.
Who, me?
Me. Look at the beard.
Oh.
Upside down Don King.
All right, Eddie's comment right here. Here's the thing. You cannot tell us as fans this was a tale of two play callers. Jalen went from 15 of 16 against the blitz. Then what happened? I am thinking, let me just announce this is going to be reckless speculation. I am thinking that Hurts and Patullo collaborated in the first half. Then Sirianni said, All right, let's slow it down in a second. All gut here. I would not disagree with that. I mean, that's some of what I was thinking. Not maybe exactly like that, but the part where you insert Sirianni in there, I'm definitely in agreement with that. Whenever this offense looks like that, I imagine Sirianni is injecting his will into the offensive scheme.
This is reckless.
That's I know it's reckless speculation, but I got I have proof. I mean, like it's reminiscent when this offense looks like it looks in the second half of last week's game and the first half of the game before that. That's also eerily similar to how the offense looked when Nick Sirianni started out as the play caller for this team when he first came aboard. This offense looks just like that. So every time I'm just prone to every time I see it look like that, I point to Nick and I say Nick has too much say. Nick needs to, and if this is true, if any of this speculation is true, Nick needs to keep his hands out of the offense. They brought in the OC last year just for him to do that. They brought in the OC from outside, and they turned all of the responsibilities for the offense over to him. They basically told Nick Sirianni, look, keep your hand. And I know his pride couldn't come in front of the press and admit that his role is being relinquished like that. So he always had to throw in, yeah, we collaborate, we get together, and we try. No, that Kellen Moore. I'm giving Kellen Moore more credit last year. Kellen Moore was the big difference from the Brian Johnson year and that year that we won the Super Bowl. So, Nick, please just keep your hands out of it. If you're really, about this team winning, which you say you are, you don't care how we win, then you would take a step back again. You would subdue your pride and ego and do what you do best. Instead of working on something that you're not good at, you need to put more energy into that and what you're good at. He's good at motivating. He is. He's good at motivating that team. That team will run through a brick wall for Nick Sirianni. He has a way, his words resonate with them. From planting seeds and flowers and all that, all that stuff that he's talking, they like that. They play for him with those type of sayings and things. So stick to working on your motivational speaking. That's what you're strong at. Stick to that and leave the office alone. Leave it alone.
I get that, and you know what? I know Eddie put another comment up there. The piggybacking off of that, the flow of his comments were going flow with each other, like the offensive coordinator should do, right? But I know this has been a issue every year under Sirianni, but for a coach to be 58-23, in his 5 seasons here, with 2 Super Bowl appearances, 6-3 in the playoffs, it's hard to really try to put this all on a head coach who actually has relinquished the play calling duties and say, you know what? Yes, I might have some input, but he has been successful here with the Philadelphia Eagles. He hasn't had a losing record here with our Philadelphia Eagles. He has been one of the only coaches for the past 4 seasons, first 4 seasons, to be 4-0 each season, right? I get that we try to put blame on Nick Sirianni, but he's not the one orchestrating the offense. He's not the one getting the flow of the offense. He purposely
he's the one that's messing it up. You're right. He's not the one getting the flow. He's the one messing it up.
He's not messing
He's the one messing the flow up. He's that one. And look, and I love him. He'll forever be beloved in Philadelphia. He brought us another Super Bowl. Right? He's a Super Bowl winning coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. So he'll always be beloved here.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, though, not to take anything away from him, but he is coaching the most talented roster in the league most years. Most
years.
He's had a very, very talented roster since he's been here. Above average every year he's been here. And the past few years, arguably the best roster in the league. So it's not like he had to start with a team like the Phoenix Cardinals I mean,
Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, I get you.
Arizona Cardinals or a lesser team or the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm just naming teams that his proteges have gone on to head coach. He didn't walk into a situation where he had to build a roster or anything like that. Howie has given him, primo tools here to work with. If it was food, he's given him the top of the cream of la cream of food to cook this meal with. You know what I mean? He's not having to make do with ramen noodles or anything like that. He's got prime ribs. You know what I'm saying? Prime rib, lobsters, asparagus. He has all the best ingredients here. So, it still takes coaching to get them to be 4-0 as many times that he's done that. But again, he's been given some supreme talent to work with.
Yeah, he's been getting a sports car, and he's racing in the handicap race. So I mean, I get it. All right,
your flag. Give me a flag, Pat. I need a flag.
Flag on the plus.
Dion, you out of control. What are you talking about?
Man,
That's it. You're out of control. You're out of here. Look.
He's talking about next year. He's talking about the flowers.
This is Jalen Carter type of this. You're out of here, Dion. It's like, what are you doing? No more shots for you.
Oh man, he spit on his screen, Paul.
Yeah, he spit on. Where did that even come from? Who was he responding to? Please tell me who you was responding to, Dion, because I'm rolling back and I don't see that. But here's Ryan Swoop's comment. Jeremiah, if they do get good OCs who are young and get old like Fangio, and not old like Fangio, who isn't interested in coaching, they will keep losing them year after year. I agree with that. We are so fortunate to have a Vic Fangio. He that's another aspect that reminds me so much of Jim Johnson, because Jim Johnson was in the same point of his career when he came to coach for Andy Reid. He had no desire to be a head coach anymore or anything like that. Vic has had head coaching jobs, and he is just content on being a defensive coordinator and being one near his family. So we're blessed. I wish that we could find a Vic Fangio type for offensive coordinator, an older guy that doesn't want to do anything but be an OC. And
the only person I saw that was Cliff Kingsbury. He just wanted to be an offensive coordinator, but we never went after him like that. So,
oh man, Kingsbury, you don't think he would take another head coaching job?
I mean, right now he's an offensive coordinator, and I think that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to be a head coach. He wants to be an offensive coordinator. He wants to orchestrate his offensive style. That's what we need. We need people that want to.
Yeah, we need a Kingsbury.
Style
we definitely need
that want to have their name on this type of office. We hear about the West Coast office, but we don't know the creator, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody created that style office that we use year in and year out. Somebody created this type of office, the RPO. Year in, year out, we use it, right? So Doug Peterson, I mean, come on. we have been using this type of offense since 2017 season.
Oh, he said he responded to me talking about the plants. That's what he has to stick to that. He's good with the plants and all that. He needs to stick to that. Don't do offense. As a coach, work to your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Time is of the essence. You don't have a lot of time. If if you're weak in something, you what do you call that? You delegate that responsibility to somebody else. You're weak in offense. Delegate that to the OC. You work on your motivational speeches and all of that. That's what we need from Vic. From Nick. Christopher Burton says, question: do you think Jim Johnson's defense playbook will be effective in today's NFL?
They're using it down in Tampa Bay. They're using a 46 type defense that goes into the Tampa 2. So they blitz. But you got to have the athletes.
Right.
We had the athletes. That 46 Bear defense, we had the athletes to run that. Today,
was that Jim Johnson running that?
Oh no, I'm talking about.
You talking about the
way back.
90s?
I'm talking
Yeah,
about
no. He said, "Do
no, the
you think?"
blitzing style defense where you utilize your safety as the queen piece. I'm saying he's a queen, but the queen piece on a chessboard to move him around to make things happen on your defense. Yeah, it can work. Again, it all boils down to who you have on your defense. You got to have those dogs on defense that's going to be able to make up the slack or do their job in that. Because let's be honest, the defense. What we learned later down the road, the defense was circulated around Brian Dawkins.
Right, right.
The
And
defense
and,
was
and you
built
know,
around
Vic has
Brian
a,
Dawkins.
a similar philosophy,
Mhm.
but I think that, and it was only, and I think it was centered around Doc because of Doc.
His
You know what I mean?
ability.
Because of Doc's ability.
Mhm.
But had there not been a Doc, like let's say Doc was a linebacker, then it would have been around Doc as a linebacker. You know what I'm saying? He would have formed that defense around Doc as a linebacker. And that's just identifying the talent you have and putting them in the best position to succeed and be their best. Like you see what he does with Cooper DeJean. He was a cornerback playing outside in college, got him in training camp, saw how magnificent he was and what a sure and tough tackler he was, and he moved him inside and made him a pseudo linebacker in the nickel and dime. You know what I mean? So, it's identifying what you have and then putting them in the best position to be great. And Vic does a great job of that with this defense. Getting back to AJ, because that's going to play a part. I really do think that all eyes are going to be on that matchup this week, and that this can either be a very good thing. We've seen when we've had questions about the offense and the passing game or any other aspect, we've seen this team come and respond. It seems like directly to what the noise has been that week. And now I'm not a fan of that. I'm really not. I don't want them to listen to the outside noise. I just want them to plan and scheme for the best path to victory every week. If you come out and it seems like you're responding or to what you've heard in the media, I just think that's a sign of weakness. I just think that's not a show of strength, because then you become predictable in that way. You know what I'm saying? If he comes out and we see AJ have a big game, now that doesn't necessarily mean it was because of the noise from the fans, because AJ started that noise himself.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean?
AJ is a fragile playing receiver in this league. Yes, the real good receivers. They are divas. I ain't gonna hold you up. They are divas. They always want the ball in their hands. Keyshawn Johnson, yeah, I saw that. That's why I laughed at it. Keyshawn Johnson wrote a book. She be back.
She be back. She's coming back to you.
Keyshawn Johnson wrote a book. Give me the damn ball, right?
Right.
All receivers have that mindset. Now they might not say it, vocalize it all the time, but every single good receiver has that mindset. You want your receiver to say, "Give me the ball." You want your receiver to have that mentality. You want your receiver to say, "I could be the difference maker and do different things for the same." Because what happens is when you build that confidence of giving the ball, not only does he block extra now because you know that if I get the ball, we win in the game. Now I got to block and help my teammates out. That builds confidence within the team. So, but the social media stuff, that got to stop.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Howie, Nick, Dom, they need to go to AJ house, take his damn phones. All right, confiscate his phones and take over his account and freeze his account. Matter of fact, any hacker out there, hack his account so he doesn't go back onto it. Leave Twitter alone, AJ.
That's my next career. I think that all of these guys need a publicist or someone that's in their ear. That's my next. I need to be a consultant, because these young guys don't. Yeah, they don't. They need that person. Like, no, that's not a good move. They need someone to help steer their social media presence and some of the things they say, man. Not to just to have them think a little bit before they respond so emotionally. because that's what social media gives you access to be able to express yourself immediately to a large number of people, and they haven't learned, and these young people haven't learned yet to leave emotion out of it when they do that, and it's not always a great practice. So I think I can make a lot of money. AJ, hire me. I will help you. I will be in the locker room when
AJ,
you're upset.
Hire.
I'm not. I wouldn't hold you back. I want you to express somewhat of it, but like, here's a way to go about it. I'm not. Some things that need to be kept and talked about in house need to be kept and talked about in house.
Pay your DarkKnight.
Yeah. All right. How are contract negotiations going with this?
We got in this corner. We got in this corner. We go in this
corner. They done wild out.
And that's the end of the quarter.
All right, you're watching Eagles Talk, the #1 Eagles coverage show on Facebook. That's by us fans and for us fans. And here on Eagles Talk, we like to talk about our favorite football team, that is the Philadelphia Eagles, the 4-0. Let me just say that, the 4-0 Philadelphia Eagles, because you listen to the national news, you listen to sports talk, and you would not know that we were 4-0 when you hear from the fans calling in. You would think we was 1-3 or something like that. So we like to talk about our favorite football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, and we do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage. I'm doing the Celsius Tropical Vibe. Pat's doing the Woodford Reserve. You guys let me know what you're doing as we go into this fourth quarter. So raise your glasses to our Philadelphia Eagles and down the hatch. 3, 2, 1.
You're now listening to the fourth quarter.
All right, fourth quarter. So what do you think with this game coming up? Because this Denver defense is good. And AJ, if we're talking about getting AJ back in the flow, it's going to be a tough task of doing that this week when he's going up against the reigning defensive player of the year, Patrick Surtain. So what do you think we can expect from this Eagles team on Sunday, Pat?
Well, we can't be scared. They got to go into the game like they're 0-4. They got to go in there scratching and crawling, just like when we played the Buccaneers back in 2017. Remember that game? We were going to get some action. Was that the game that I started drinking? Because they were the #1 off defense, and we put up like 40 or 50 points against them or something like that.
Yeah.
This is when I told Joe Guns I would take 4
Yeah,
shots.
that was the game. That was the game that brought shots to the Eagles Talk program. In our second season, 2017, we were about to face the Denver Broncos, who had the #1 defense coming into that game. And I mean, they had a very stout defense, man. I laugh because of the results. And they had a very stout defense, and somebody predicted that we would score 30-something. And Pat was like, 30? If we scored 30 points against this defense, if we scored 30 points, I will do blank and blank shots.
Yeah,
and they put up 50. They put up 50 that day. That is what brought the shots to Eagles Talk. All right, let me go to some comments out here. Eddie says, gotta love our fans sometimes. We 4-0 and complaining about play. We are spoiled. We are
spoiled. You know what, Eddie? Listen, we're about to face a team that's wish they had the same players that we have. They have a dynamic player on every spot on on offense and defense, but they don't have all the playmakers like we have, right? We got 6 playmakers on offense. We got a whole half of defense. We're missing a second corner, which I think we might have found our second corner. Keely Ringo actually fared very well this past game. The only thing he needs to practice is making tackles. Right? We got Quinyon Mitchell, Quinyon Mitchell, or Quinyon Bay, whatever, Quinyon Bay, right? Who's put up a 91.8 Pro Football Focus grading when it comes to coverage. He's one of the top 2 coverage corners in the league. Him and Patrick Surtain. And Cooper DeJean is nothing to laugh about. Listen, we are spoiled. We are spoiled. But you know what? We went through the the Chip Kellys, the ones we don't even say on the team like that. We went through the dream teams. You went through the horrible years to get like this. To say, you know what, those years when we had Donovan McNabb and we knew we need wide receivers, but they went out there and picked up a freaking defensive tackle that can't play defense, or picked up a guard who wants to be a fireman instead of getting a wide receiver. We went through times like this for us to enjoy ourselves moving forward. Like, you know, let's not take this for granted. Let's not take AJ Brown spazzing out and crashing out on social media and get rid of him, only to realize that we need a number one receiver. Because Smitty is a great wide receiver. He is a great number 2. He's a 2A. He's a 2B. He's a 1B. You get rid of AJ Brown, now you're forcing him to be the number 1 receiver in the offense, which he could do.
Yeah, I'm about to say he could do it. He did
do it. But the thing about it is that this is what makes this offense more dynamic. When you have an offensive coordinator utilizing all your weapons to the fullest potential. And I really think what's happening right now, growing pains, on the job training. They OJIing right now on the job instructing so they can have a better product when it gets down to crunch time.
Yeah, I agree. We're very spoiled. You know, we've been spoiled this century. We've been spoiled this entire century. And, you know, I talk to fans of other teams. Basically, they are haters of the Eagles, but they're haters in a good way, meaning they hate us because they respect us. They respect what we've done the last 20 years, although, you know, it only resulted in 2 Super Bowls. But we've been a winning franchise for most of this century, man. I mean, we've had lulls, but we've not had any Cleveland Brown type situation. We haven't had long droughts where we've just not been good. You know what I mean? We've been good for the majority of this century.
That's
a
25
couple
years.
hiccups here, Chip Kelly here, Andy Reid's final year there. You know, just a couple of hiccups, but for the most part, we're in the playoffs. In the 2000s, we were Super Bowl contenders for consecutive years, and we're back to that status now. So we have been spoiled for the last 25 years. Basically, we have a generation of kids walking around here that don't know the Eagles to ever be bad. You know what I mean? That same generation also doesn't know the Cowboys to win, you know, playoffs. But you know what I'm saying? but that's not our worry. That's not our problem. We have a generation of kids 25 and under that have never seen the Eagles been horrible. So yeah, we're spoiled, and we're old enough, Pat, to know that that's not always been the case.
No,
you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we are taking things for granted, but we do recall those lean years when it wasn't like that. And I don't think that, you know, I think that we're just intelligent fans, passionate fans that hold our team accountable. That's where you get the booze from. I was talking to a fan and I was like, he was like, man, you Eagles fans are crazy. You guys were booing. I said, man, we booed our team the first game after they won their first Super Bowl for us. The first game after the Eagles won the Super Bowl, which would be the opener of the next year, the same game in which they hang the banner up in the stands or the bleachers or whatever, we booed that team at halftime. We do not play, but we hold our team accountable. They were sucking, and we let them know they were sucking. Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be spoiled right now. So this is the time to be spoiled, especially with all our Philadelphia sports.
Oh my God!
Oh man, go back to sleep. Go back to sleep.
I know. Where is he?
That's my boy. Man.
I know him. He was good luck for us. Every time he showed, we won the Super Bowl. Welcome. he was talking a lot of stuff when we won that first Super Bowl too.
Yeah, he's going to keep talking. We appreciate that, Leon. But on a serious note, man, I'm happy to be spoiled right now. I'm happy to be defending champs. I'm happy to expect a win. I'm not just hoping for a win. To expect a win. We go into each week now expecting to win, not hoping or praying to win. Maybe the ball turn over here or that, or the quarterback gets sick or something like that. No, we're actually now physically expecting our team to win week in and week out, and that's a great feeling.
It is. They go about the business of winning, man. I explained that in the previous show. Nick is about the business of winning, meaning that, that's why you see the conservative look, because once he gets up, he's just about the business of coming out of that game with a W. So he'll do what he thinks the percentages lean to do that. So, taking a page out of our 2022 book, that is how we won a lot of our games. So, in looking at it in that light, you cannot understand why he went conservative in the second half. Recall 2022. Jalen Hurts is playing out of his mind. Our offense is explosive. We're scoring in the first half like crazy. We're up like 2 touchdowns a lot of these games going into halftime, maybe even 3. That's how explosive the offense is. And then what would happen? The second half, we would run the ball. We would kill the clock. And that's why we had such great numbers in the passing game, and we had 1,000-yard rushers. Don't forget, during that explosive offensive time when Jalen was throwing for 20-plus touchdowns, almost 30 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, we had a 1,000-yard rusher as well. So we were getting our run game in as well. And I think they tried to take a page out of that. We got up big in the first half, and he wanted to just melt the clock away in the second half. But we don't have the same run game as we had last year. The offensive line is not blocking like in that dominant fashion in which they did last year. They're beat up for whatever reason. They're just not as dominant as they were last year. I don't think it's age or anything like that. I just think it's they're just a little beat up.
Yeah, I think we're going to. As the season moves on, I think we'll get better. I know Paterio, he's putting up the numbers where the offense ranks and stuff like that, the defense ranks. We're doing, like I said before, we're doing more with less, or we're doing less with more. We're winning these games with less offensive production, which most teams don't win those games because the sheer talent that we have. And you know what? During the course of the whole season, because it's a long season, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I believe we're going to get better at certain things. People will get more healthier. The team's going to start moving with flow, and we're going to be more productive. And one more thing is Saquon need to stop pressing. Let it happen, right? Stop making those spin moves in the backfield. Hit the hole and go. So. I know it's going to happen. I can't wait for it to happen, and I think we're in a good spot right now. 4-0 is a good spot.
All right, are we home next week? We're home next week, right?
Yes, we're home. Yeah.
So that's a 1:00 game, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, so we're gonna get out of here. I have some adjusting to do. Hopefully I'll be stationary, but the job of a parent never ends. I try to support my kids no matter what they do, and I can only get a volleyball training session for my daughter on Sunday. So I'll be in Philadelphia though. I'll be in Philadelphia at a volleyball training session with my daughter. Hopefully I'll be done before the pregame. I know I'll be done before the pregame. It's just
all-American volleyball player.
Let's speak that into existence. All right. So I'll probably be doing it. I'll be doing the show from some location, but it won't be from home. Okay. So with that being said, you guys go enjoy your Thursday night football game, and let us all reconvene right here for the pregame show on Sunday, an hour before kickoff. That's a 1:00 game, right?
It is a 1:00
game. 1:00 game. So let's all meet here at 12:00. Get your game day menu together and your game day shot, and be ready to post that in the chat room, because I need some. I'm gonna be in Philly, so I'm gonna need some game day food ideas while I'm up there. my go-to is a cheesesteak. I just, I can't stop. I have to stop myself from getting a cheesesteak every time I came.
I haven't had cheesesteak in a while. I'll be honest with you.
I know, but you guys live there, so I didn't have
yeah.
cheesesteaks all the time when I lived there either. But being far away, and you cannot imagine how horrible the cheesesteaks are down here. And they
you got to make your own. You got to get the Blackstone Grill and start making your own.
All right. Well, you guys go and enjoy the game. Reconvene here 12 o'clock Sunday, and let's get ready to see what our Eagles can do against these Denver Broncos. See if that offense shows up for a full 60 minutes. I'm your man, DarkKnight, for my co-hosts, Pat and Nichelle in her absence. We are out of here. We'll see you Sunday. Peace.
We go live in 5, 4, 3, 2. Smash him up, crack that fool. Quarterback whack, yo, sack that fool. Hit him,